Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, Text 11. We already started the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we continue reading with the purport because of his regular discharge. We just quickly read the translation. By regularly discharging devotional service, Pṛthu Mahārāja became transcendental in mind and could therefore constantly think of the lotus feet of the Lord. Because of this, he became completely detached and attained perfect knowledge by which he could transcend all doubt. Thus, he was freed from the clutches of false ego and the material conception of life. So we want to give up our false ego, we want to give up the material identification or, that I'm the body. We want to be situated in the position of the soul. We want to be detached from the material world. We want perfect knowledge. All that can be done by engaging in devotional service, fixing our mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Yeah. Automatically all the things get detachment and perfect knowledge. Bhagavatam says one who engages in devotional service to Krishna gets causeless knowledge and detachment from the material world. We don't need to separately endeavor for these things. By hearing about Krishna from the scriptures, by chanting his holy name, we can get perfect knowledge and detachment from the material world. We can give up our false ego. We can give up this material concept of life. So we continue reading. Because of his regular discharge of devotional service, a devotee attains the transcendental stage of life. Since his mind is transcendently situated, he cannot think of anything but the lotus feet of the Lord. This is the meaning of the words samsmarana anupurtya. By constantly thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord, the devotee immediately becomes situated in Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva refers to that platform which is above the modes of material nature, including the mode of goodness. In the material world, the mode of goodness is considered to be representative of the highest perfection. But one has to transcend this mode and come to the stage of Shuddha Sattva, of pure goodness, where the three qualities of material nature cannot act. So, goodness and goodness, passion, and ignorance. These are the modes of material nature. Rajogun, Tamogun, Sattvagun. In Kali Yuga, most of us are in the modes of passion and ignorance. So we have to rise to the mode of goodness. But still, the mode of goodness is also in the material world. So coming to the mode of goodness, then we have to transcend this mode and come to the stage of pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Then when we transcend that, that is the liberated platform. That is liberation, because no more being bound, gunas. The modes, they are like ropes binding us. But the pure devotee, he's not bound by these ropes. He is free. He is on the liberated platform, on the platform of pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. And what is he thinking of? Constantly thinking of lotus feet of the Lord. We are always thinking of what we are attached to. Our mind always goes to what or who we are attached to. The devotee is attached to Krishna, so he's always thinking of Krishna. So how can one get attached to Krishna?
By hearing and chanting, by remembering him.
Yes.
By
So
constantly
what is
thinking.
that stage of, what is the stage we
Shuddha
have
Sattva.
to, how to transcend? Like we are in the three modes of nature, then what is that stage which is beyond the three modes? What is that called?
Shuddha Sattva.
Shuddha
Shuddha Sattva.
Sattva. Yeah, thank you. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following example. If one has strong digestive power, after eating, he automatically lights a fire within his stomach to digest everything and does not need to take medicine to aid his digestion. Similarly, the fire of devotional service is so strong that a devotee does not need to act separately to attain perfect knowledge or detachment from material attractions. Nice, huh? What is the example Prabhupada is giving?
The digestive power.
Yeah, automatic it happens. No, it's not that we have to light a fire inside our stomach,
Yeah.
right? It happens automatic. So
So like there need not to be false detachment from the world, right? Like if we are just simply doing our devotional service at the lotus feet of Krishna, slowly and gradually, the detachment will come itself and the knowledge comes, right?
Yes.
You don't need to endeavor separately for them that, oh, I'll not do this, I'll not do, but because it's just simply because you're doing service at lotus feet of Krishna, it's coming automatically.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, agree.
Yes.
So that means with detachment comes knowledge, right?
With knowledge comes detachment.
Knowledge comes detachment.
Oh, wait, sorry, with knowledge comes detachment. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. A jnani may become detached from material attractions by prolonged discussions on subjects of knowledge and may in this way finally come to the Brahma-bhuta stage. But a devotee does not have to undergo so much trouble. By virtue of his devotional service, he attains the Brahma-bhuta stage without a doubt. The yogis and jnanis are always doubtful about their constitutional position. Therefore, they mistakenly think of becoming one with the Supreme. However, a devotee's relationship with the Supreme becomes manifest beyond all doubt, and he immediately understands that his position is that of eternal servant of the Lord. So he gets this perfect knowledge. He gets the perfect knowledge of his constitutional position. Oh, I'm not the body. I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. I have a loving relationship with Krishna. I need to act in that relationship. So, because he gets this knowledge, automatically he gets detached from the material world. And how does he get this knowledge? By engaging in devotional service. So, he engages in devotional service, he gets the knowledge, he gets the detachment. So that is a sure way of coming to the liberated platform. We can see is the fastest way, like taking the elevator. Because if we just, without engaging in devotional service, we just try to get knowledge uh, by our own mind or not hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, then it becomes troublesome. We will not be able to understand Krishna. Hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, that is devotional service. So jnanis and yogis without devotion may think themselves liberated, but actually their intelligence is not pure as that of a devotee. In other words, the jnanis and yogis cannot become factually liberated unless they become elevated to the position of devotees. So if really we want liberation, then even though we may be a jnani or a yogi, we have to come to the point of bhakti. Gyan and yoga can help us only if we come to the point of bhakti. You know how they say that, oh, there are different processes to reach the Supreme, but then we have to come to the Supreme. That means engaging in devotional service. One has to come to that point. Bhagavatam 10:32 says, Aruya krichrena parampadam tataha patanti ado nadrita yusmat angrayaha. Jnanis and yogis may rise to the highest position, Brahman realization, but because of their lack of devotion unto the lotus feet of the Lord, they again fall down into material nature. Therefore, Jnana and Yoga should not be accepted as the real processes for liberation. By discharging devotional service, Maharaj Pṛthu automatically transcended all these positions. So if we really want self-realization, we really want liberation, we really want to understand our constitutional position, we really want the absolute knowledge, we really want to get detached from the material world, we need to engage in devotional service, which begins by hearing and chanting. So since Pṛthu Maharaj was a Shakti-Avesh incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he did not have to act in any way to attain liberation. He came from the Vaikuntha world of spiritual sky in order to execute the will of the Supreme Lord on earth. Consequently, he was to return home back to Godhead without having to execute Gyan, Yoga, Karma. Although Pṛthu Maharaj was eternally a pure devotee of the Lord, he nonetheless adopted the process of devotional service. Why? Why? He's a confidential associate of the Lord. He's coming from the Vaikuntha, from the spiritual world. Then why is he engaging in bhakti? In order to teach the people in general the proper process for executing the duties of life and ultimately returning home back to Godhead. Because he's being an example to us that how can we also attain perfection and go back home, back to Godhead by engaging in devotional service. Going on to the next one. Chinnanyadiradigatatmagatir nirihas.
Anyadhi adhikatatmagati niriha
Tatyaje chinnadidam mayunena yena.
tattadhyadhe achinnadat idam vayunena yena
Tavanna yoga katibiryatirapramато.
Tavanna yoga gativiriyati apramato.
Yavagatagraja katha surate kurya.
Yavat gadagraja katha suratim na kuryat.
When he became completely free from the conception of bodily life, Maharaj Pṛthu realized Lord Krishna sitting in everyone's heart as the Paramatma. Being thus able to get all instructions from him, he gave up all other practices of yoga and jnana. He was not even interested in the perfection of the yoga and jnana systems, for he thoroughly realized that devotional service to Krishna is the ultimate goal of life, and that unless the yogis and jnanis become attracted to Krishna Katha, narrations about Krishna, their illusions concerning existence can never be dispelled. As long as one is too much absorbed in the bodily conception of life, he becomes interested in many different processes of self-realization, such as the mystic yoga system or the system utilizing the speculative empiric methods. However, when one understands that the ultimate goal of life is to approach Krishna, he realizes Krishna within everyone's heart and therefore helps everyone who's interested in Krishna consciousness. Actually, the perfection of life depends on one's inclination to hear about Krishna. So is that hearing about Krishna is the same as hearing about any entertainer or any sports person, like any famous personality like there may be a great politician right now, currently, or a current sports star. Is that the same as hearing about Krishna?
No, definitely not.
Why?
Because Krishna is the absolute, the ultimate, is the Supreme
Yes.
Personality of Godhead, right? So there's no
So what?
comparison.
That's right.
to-
No comparison. So what happens when we hear about Krishna's leelas?
It's the same as
We are there with him. He's
yeah,
there with
Krishna.
us.
Yeah,
We are
he's
in
We
there
get
the
with us.
connected with
Vishuddhi
him.
Sattva. When we
You
hear
get
about
connected-
Krishna, we are with him.
Yeah, you get
Yes.
connected to him, but with the
Yeah,
celebration, it's just like the
we are with
glamour
him.
world. It's temporary.
Because as we say that when you keep on saying Coke, 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 the Coke will not come in your mouth. You will not feel it. But if you say Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna is sitting there with you at that moment.
Yes. So
You
what
get
is the
attracted.
effect? What is the effect of
He
hearing
too.
about Krishna and compared to hearing about the ordinary material person's activities? What's the
Attraction.
difference? Hmm?
Okay, the difference is that when you hear about Krishna, the impurities in your heart get cleansed.
Mm.
Your heart get cleansed. The
Yes.
all the anarthas that are there in your heart from life after life, it gets
Mm.
cleansed. But just after hearing about any other politician, that nothing would impact. Rather, you would get more disturbed that what is happening.
Yes. Thank you.
The eternal bliss is not there, no? When you are
Yes.
learning about
Thank you.
another. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. So hearing about Krishna is completely transcendental, spiritual. It's not like hearing about other mundane things because we may say, Krishna's pastimes happened 5,000 years ago. Why should I hear about him now? But by hearing about him, as you all rightly mentioned, he's on the transcendental platform, he's with us, our material desires go away, anarthas goes away. It's bringing us closer to Krishna. It's bringing us closer to our own self-realization. As the sun rises, the more the sun rises, the more clearly we can see. We can see ourselves and everything around us. So the more we hear about Krishna, the more we understand Krishna, the more knowledge we get, the more our ignorance goes away, the more our material contaminations goes away, anartha goes away. Thank you. So having attained to the stage of devotion, Mahārāja Pṛthu became uninterested in the practices of Gyan and Yoga and abandoned them. This is the stage of pure devotional life as described by Rupa Goswami. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttamam. Real Gyan means understanding that the living entity is the eternal servant of the Lord. This is real knowledge. Understanding that we are all eternal servants of the Lord. But we have to understand that in our material experience, being a servant we feel is not good. But on the spiritual platform is the highest platform. Because when we love someone, we serve them. We serve. We are serving everyone who we love. We serve even our pets. Why do we serve them? Because we get attached to them. We love them. We're serving our children, our family, our parents, out of love. So the real perfection of this propensity to love. We each have this propensity to love, each have the propensity to serve. So the perfection is when it's directed to Krishna. This knowledge is attained after many, many births, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:19. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan ma padyate. After many, many births, Krishna says, one who is in knowledge comes to understand what? So the jnani, taking the path of knowledge after many births is going to come to the point that Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then I need to surrender unto Him. In the Paramhamsa stage of life, one fully realizes Krishna as everything. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Samahatma Sudurlabha. When one understands fully that Krishna is everything and that Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life, he becomes a Paramhams or a Mahatma. Such a Mahatma or Paramhams is very rare to find. Krishna is saying, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. One who surrenders to Krishna is a Mahatma, a great soul, Paramhamsa, great soul. And Krishna is saying, this kind of great soul is very rare. A Paramhamsa or pure devotee is never attracted by Hatha Yoga or speculative knowledge. He's simply interested in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. Unalloyed. So how did Srila Prabhupada come with this term, unalloyed? He was there and he's in America. He saw the unalloyed steel, means pure steel, pure. So this is pure devotional service. There's no mixture of jnana, karma, or desire for food, or mystic perfection. As Rupa Goswami is saying, Anya Bilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmanya, no material desire, no desire for becoming one with the Supreme, no desire for the Ashtasiddhis, just engaging in devotional service for the pleasure of Krishna, favorably, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. And then we may scratch our heads and we may say, oh my God, that's so difficult. I'm not at that position at all. Bhagavatam says, don't worry, continue to worship Krishna, no matter what is our position. Just continue. Krishna will fulfill our desires and give us perfection. Sometimes one who was formerly addicted to these processes tries to perform devotional service and the Gyan and Yoga practices at the same time. But as soon as one comes to the unalloyed stage of devotional service, he is able to give up all other methods of self-realization. In other words, when one firmly realizes Krishna as the supreme goal, he is no longer attracted by mystic yoga practice or the speculative empirical methods of knowledge. So Prabhupada is helping us understand, when we come to understand Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, as Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, once we understand that Krishna is my supremely worshipable object, Krishna is the object of my love, Krishna is the supreme goal, then there is no other attractions of taking the path of philosophical, like speculating. Maybe it's like this, maybe God is like this, maybe it's this, maybe this is my position. There's no speculation, and there is no desire for getting any of the 8 kind of siddhis that may become bigger than the biggest or smaller than the smallest, but just engaging in pure devotional service. So we can see that the devotee is experiencing so much happiness, so much bliss. When we love someone, we do something for them, we feel happy. We really feel, our heart feels good. We're doing something for someone we love. We're doing it nicely. So imagine, so the pure devotee, he's doing it for Krishna. So his heart is full of happiness because he loves Krishna. So he's in this relationship with Krishna. So it's a loving relationship between the devotee and the Lord. Any comments? Any questions? Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jaya.